Hello!
Welcome to one of the more inexplicable formats people ask for. Going through a big pile of DVDs and seeing what's on them and talking about the films a bit and all that kind of stuff. So these are from eBay, the site you may have heard of. I don't know why I've just gesticulated there as if eBay is down that bit of the sofa. That seems statistically unlikely. Basically, DVDs have got so little value now, you can just buy big stacks of them for almost no money whatsoever, which is what I did. These do not have cases, they are merely the discs. A big pile of them. I think there's about 50 here. I'm not going to count them. You can do so at home if you are the counting type, or you're just really trying to get off to sleep, but you're sick of counting those bloody filthy sheep with all their fleas. Ugh. Right, movie number one. Oh, that's interesting. okay. So I spotted this out of the corner of my eye and thought it was a Star Wars film. Because so many of them have the desert thing on, Tatooine or Jakku or whatever. I honestly couldn't assumed that was like a dewback and that was Star Wars characters. But nope, actually looking at it with my eyes, we discover that oh, look. That is bloody Where the Wild Things Are. Surely, does it say? Yes, Where the Wild Things Are. I didn't know there was a desert bit in that. Based on the Morris Sendak book? Wish I hadn't said that, because now I'm not sure. But there we are. That's canon now. Right, so this film, I got cheap on Blu-ray like about, 8 years ago or something. And I put it in a pile and said to my girlfriend, we'll have to watch that. And do you know what? We've still not got round to it. I must actually watch this film. I have no idea if it's any good or not. But I do love the designs, and I love the fact they made big puppet costumes for people. So I reckon it's going to be a laugh at the very least. And it's PG, which of course stands for parental goofiness, which means you can't watch it because your dad keeps messing about while you're trying to. Oh, bloody dad. Right, next up, Pal Joey. I have never heard of this film. La Blonde ou La Rousse. That is, of course, French for the train station is closed. How am I going to get back to Bulgaria? No, it isn't. It's for the blonde or the redhead, I think. So it's clearly a Frank Sinatra film, not one I've heard of, where he's choosing between a blonde lady and a redhead. I mean, that is very much sort of shown visually there. 1957, renewed 1985. Don't worry, everyone. We've renewed the copyright. Pal Joey will now be ours forever. All 104 minutes, 37 seconds of it. I have got no idea if there's any good or not. I've only seen a couple of old Sinatra movies. I'm trying to think of any of them I particularly enjoyed. I've seen the original Ocean's 11 at some point, which was, it was a bit dismal. The remake, sort of a lot more fun on that. Man with the Golden Arm was good. Was that for Sinatra? Do you know what? I'm going down this Sinatra rabbit hole, and I haven't seen enough of his films to really comment. This might be good, it might not be. I'm assuming it's going to be a romantic comedy with some songs in. I'm mostly judging by the imagery there, really. And also, they go into space. Oh, looking forward to that bit. Right, what is next? Oh, Christ. Epic movie. Oh, one of these spoof films where they just keep riffing on various other actual films that exist, and then the movie ends and you go, oh, that wasn't as amusing as we'd hoped. So what have we got here? We've got a off-brand Superman, got guy with stripy jumper. Not immediately getting the reference for that one. It's got to be fairly broad. I don't know why I'm missing it. Obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean, Willy Wonka and some Oompa Loompas. Okay. Reminds me a bit of Crispin Glover. Now, that is one of the guys from Kids in the Hall, isn't it? That surprised me, being incredibly old Harry Potter for some reason. Anyway, I've not seen this, and I imagine it's quite dismal, because everybody has told me it is. And, these things have a very bad reputation, which is a shame. You could have some fun with stuff like this, but really, they seem to be quite cheaply produced. A set of basically comedy spoof sketches they just stitched together at very short notice, and it's more about the sort of visual look of, oh look, they're lampooning that, than actually getting the jokes in. That's a bloody shame. Go over there and we will never mention you again. Not when we could go to Tom and Jerry's Christmas Party. Not heard of this one. Is this like an old classic one? Is it a more recent one? Where is the copyright on this? It doesn't give us a year. What a mystery. Is it a TV special, do you think? TV special from years ago they've stuck on disc? Is it a more recent thing? I can't tell by those designs. Maybe you are a Tom and Jerry expert and you can. Although if you're a Tom and Jerry expert, you'll probably just know what this film is off the top of your head and won't actually need to analyse the bloody image of Tom and Jerry. So, yes. Tell us what it is in the comments. I would be quite interested to know that. I'm not going to read it because I'm going to look it up immediately afterwards. But if I forget, I'll have a look. Right. Barbie's here, everyone, with her friend Bobby, I don't know, and all the dogs you can handle. Okay, this is, what, Barbie's karaoke party or something? Hang on, I'm going to have to hold this really under the lights to try and see this, because it's very hard to see the text. It's white on very light background. Don't broadcast this to the universe. Oh, hang on, we've got it. Barbie, the princess and the pop star. But which is which? They're both singing. Either of them could be princesses, or I'm going to guess the princess is the one with the tiara. Could be being a little bit basic there, but I think that's a fairly safe bet. So this is going to be, I would have said, a fairly recent, well, by fairly recent, probably 10, 15 years ago, actually. Cartoon, do you think it's going to be CG? I think it's very likely to be CG, but I don't know. I'm not much of an expert on the Barbie oeuvre, strangely enough. However, when the dark is below, I haven't heard of this either, actually. Copyright Dead Weight Productions. And a very, very, very visible reference number. Interesting. Do we know what year this is from? No, 2014. Okay, it's fairly recent. The Dark Below, a Doug Schulz film. This is interesting. I'm going to have to look this one up later. Bugger, I've just realised I've thrown the Tom and Jerry one in the generic pile. No, I will forget to look it up. What do we reckon from looking at this? Some sort of thriller? Murder mystery type thing? Maybe a horror, and he's dug a hole and found evil things in the hole. Like, I don't know, that Barbie movie. Interesting one. Right, we'll look that one up later. Oh my God! This was a thing, wasn't it? Eddie Murphy in the Haunted Mansion. I feel like I've seen bits of this on television at some point, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing. Interesting. Most interesting thing is they're remaking the Haunted Mansion again. There's a new film of it coming soon. I heard that the other day. Don't think Eddie Murphy's in that one. I don't know. But this is one of those inexplicable things of Walt Disney making films based on their famous rides. Haunted Mansion, of course, being one of them. Well, and more an attraction, isn't it? I don't think you actually ride in the Haunted Mansion. Or do you? I'm not sure. My God, that font's on every 70s anthology horror you can think of. But it's never going to succeed. They're never going to have a big hit based on a theme park ride, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, wait. I think I might be wrong there. Oh, this is interesting. Look at that. Ribbit. It's a CGI film about a crocodile, a frog, a squirrel, and a spider. Well, isn't this find this interesting? Is it's Lionsgate? I have never heard of it. I mean, not that I'm sort of seek out news on kids' animations or anything. It's not sort of my thing, but these things are so heavily advertised, you tend to osmose them, don't you? But I've not heard of this one. Ribbit. Interestingly, also, it's a PG and not a U, which is very rare for this kind of thing. They usually sort of market these at the really young children. I mean, they could have edited the film down a bit, but they haven't. Interesting. Ribbit. Well, the frog's going to be the star, I guess. I couldn't tell you much else except the eyes on that squirrel are genuinely worrying. That thing has seen some stuff. It's probably seen through time, actually, by the looks of it. Interesting. I'll look that one up later. Oh, God, here we go. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. So I saw the original Fantastic Four at the cinema, which is why I didn't see the sequel. Apparently it's much worse. So there we are. Yeah, I don't know much about it. You've got old Norrin Rad there, the Silver Surfer. Presumably he's called that in this version. You never know. There's a lot of weird things. Parallax is in it, but he's like not anything like the comics. And Galactus is in it, but instead of a big man in a funny hat, which, come on, is the joy of Galactus, the planet eater, it's just like a cloud or something. Well, don't make Galactus a fart, guys. That just doesn't make exciting at all. Anyway, they're bound to actually make a Fantastic Four film and put it in the Marvel Universe. It's probably on one of their bloody roadmaps, actually. I don't know. I haven't seen any recent ones. I've been too busy avoiding the spiky trees of doom. What is this? It's going to be a horror with that imagery, isn't it? Yeah, spiky trees, 12. Oh, maybe it isn't going to be a horror then. It is Red Riding Hood from 2000. Holy shit, I'd forgotten that existed. Yeah, they totally made a Red Riding Hood back then. Sort of a dark version. If it's 12 rated, I'm guessing, I always assumed it was a horror film, but now I'm wondering if it was more a sort of teen audience or something. I don't know. I can't say much about that because I know very little about that film, to the extent that I'm not even sure if it's properly a horror or not. With a 12 rating, I do doubt it. Interesting. Something I should look into, actually. Put the look into pile. Oh, bloody hell, it's Sharknado. Oh, that's a spicy meatball. On Studio Canal release as well. Yeah, Sharknado. It's got a tornado full of sharks in it. I'm sure you know all about Sharknado. It's one of these infamous sort of deliberately bad B-movie type things, and there's multiple sequels, and then there's things like Two-Headed Shark Attack and all this kind of stuff. I mean, as much as I love my bad films, they've got to be made sort of earnestly. You know, when people deliberately set out to make something a bit bad, I often just don't feel the joke just doesn't sort of quite land for me. But if you do want to see a big CGI tornado full of sharks, I nearly said Sharknado full of tarks, which would be amazing. What would a tark be? Tarka the otter. Otternado. I'd see that one. There we are. Anyway, yes. Oh, I've got a disc of that now. Great. It's quite scratched up. Well, I'm sure it's still playable. I'll put that on a pile of something. Oh, what good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. It's Cabaret. And there's Liza Minnelli being all black and white. Yeah, nice. 1972. I feel like I've seen this film when I was very young. I can't remember much of it. It's musical, obviously. There's a lot of songs in it at the very least. Set during World War II, I believe. And oh my God, look at that. Released by, just below Fremantle, Prism Leisure. Man, Prism Leisure had a shop in Great Yarmouth when I was young that would sell all sort of Atari ST games and things. And they also had, I believe, did they have their own re-release label for like 16-bit games? They did cheaply. Maybe I'm getting that confused with the fact they had the shop. I'm not sure, actually. But, Prism Leisure is something that tickles my nostalgia bone. Anyway, Cabaret's pretty good. Pretty good from what I remember. I should watch it again these days, though, because I was very young when I saw it. Oh, look, everyone. Paddington Bear. Too much off the top. Yeah, so this is the story where Paddington gets decapitated, which I thought, bit of a brave choice, but, you know, the kids went with it. So there we are. And his headless ghost haunts Mr. Curry for the rest of the series. No, this is the old... the TV series from many years ago. I remember this being on television when I was a kid, and it was repeats then. Yeah, look, 1975, literally made before I was born. Lovely bit of stop-motion Paddington. The interesting thing about this was Paddington, as you can see there, is a little model of a bear wearing his hat and his coat, but all the background characters are all 2D cutouts that move around. It's very visually interesting. Obviously, Paddington Bear had a massive, massive resurgence with the two films recently. Very successful, and they're both kind of excellent. In fact, very excellent from what I remember. I just couldn't believe how good the first one was, and the second one was just as good. It's astonishing, really. Astonishing achievement. Well done to all concerned. Princess Stories Volume 3 is... Oh, it's Barbie again, is it? No, it isn't. What am I talking about? No, those are actual Disney princesses, so to speak, isn't it? Isn't that Snow White on the left? No, Snow White and Dark Hair. God, which one's that? Cinderella, maybe? Oh, all the old ones are merging into one. Ooh. Jasmine from Aladdin on the right, obviously. Princess Stories Volume 3, Beauty Shines from Within. Well, is this the one where they have really beautiful little bits of jewellery made and then just have them surgically implanted into their chests in the hope it will shine out from within? Always thought that was an odd choice for a lesson for the kids, but there we are. Now I'm making it up, I haven't got a clue what this is. And so I didn't even know Disney had done princess stories. There we are. Well, makes sense. Disney princesses are popular. And well, Disney make films and animations and that, so there you are. Do we reckon this is 2D or actually CG when you get into it? Very strongly implying 2D, the imagery there, but who knows? Who knows? Answer is people who've seen it. Serenity. The end of the Firefly series. A series I thoroughly enjoyed, Firefly, but it just kind of ends because it only got one season. Mostly because apparently when they first showed it in America, they showed all the episodes out of order and then at funny times of night and stuff like that. So why does that happen? Is it because we haven't found the people responsible and shouted at them enough yet? I really don't know. Anyway, that is that Summer Glau, I think, who went on to play a Terminator in the Sarah Connor Chronicles or whatever? Probably. I can't remember. But yeah, basically, this is a standalone film made which kind of slightly retcons something, if I recall, but then basically provides an end to the series, which is nice, because if not, it would have, like so many TV series, and like so many bloody sci-fi series from the 90s. Although I think Firefly's a bit later than that, but it just sort of ended up going nowhere. There are so many 90s sci-fi series I hadn't even heard of till recently. A friend showed me this huge list, and I was like, oh, there's always going to be a couple you haven't heard of. There were loads that I had never heard of in my bloody life. And I thought I was pretty up on 90s sci-fi. Turns out, no. I hadn't heard of Cleopatra 2525. I hadn't heard of VR5. I don't think they all had 5 in the title, but those two certainly did. I hadn't heard of Space Rangers. Oh, there's loads of them. Anyway, they're all sort of relatively low-budget 90s things. I watched the pilot of VR5. Very odd, not in a good way. The dialogue. But yeah, Firefly and Serenity, good stuff. Right, that can go in there. And this, one of the rare two-sided ones. That means you've got to look at the inside to see what the bloody hell is on it. Beetlejuice. That's interesting. Is this one of the really early ones where the encoding was odd and they basically had one half of the film on one side and one half on the other? I do hope not, because that almost never happened. I reckon it's going to be film one side and extras the other. Maybe different versions on each side. Beetlejuice. I was hoping Michael Keaton would come up. Oh well. Yeah. If you haven't seen Beetlejuice, it's great. You should probably watch Beetlejuice. I saw it again recently, actually. Just sort of on in the background, something I'd forgotten how well put together and how fun it is. And also fantastic visuals. Bloody fantastic. Right, okay. I don't think we need a hint that this is quite clearly the Simpsons movie, is it? You know you've got your classic iconography down, meaning you can just have a cartoon jelly donut with a bite out of it, and you know it's going to be the Simpsons movie. 2007. Good God, is it that old now? I remember going to the cinema to see it. Bloody hell. It feels like it was just 2007. Oh, it was. Yeah, Simpsons movie was... I mean, The Simpsons has really sort of mostly died to death for a very long time, and it's a very different thing now to what it was in its heyday. But The Simpsons movie was pretty good, if I recall. Yeah, it was fun. It just sort of kept going, and a lot of really good bits and lines and things. And from what I've seen of recent Simpsons, you're lucky if you get like one or two good lines in the whole episode, and then you feel they've kind of been wasted because the rest of the episode's kind of ass. But this was quite strong all the way through from what I remember. I don't know, the only Simpsons episodes I ever watch these days, I always watch the Treehouse of Horror ones. That's kind of my tradition. Every Halloween I'll watch the new Treehouse of Horror. And they were just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then in the last couple of years, they've spiked up again in quality. That was nice. Anyway, oh my God, Home Alone 4. Which one is 4? Is that the one with French Stewart in? That's a really weird name, isn't it, when you say it out loud? French Stewart. Hello, I am French Stewart. I have this weird accent because I am not actually French. French Stewart doesn't speak like that. Well, if he does, he's probably been concussed and you should get him to a hospital very quickly. So this is one where a kid has loads of high-tech gadgets, I would assume, just from the image there. And also has a load of wooden boards painted white. Good for him. Perhaps he's made a wall out of them. Yeah, Home Alone. And there's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and yeah, it's very similar. Home Alone 3, I don't know much about this. Home Alone 4 is this one. Apparently the quality absolutely falls off a cliff for the third and fourth, so I cannot recommend, shall we say. But there, you never know. Yeah, you do know it's going to be bad, isn't it? They did a, rebooty, no, that's probably the wrong word, another Home Alone this year, didn't they? Or last year. For the Christmas market, I imagine. I have no idea if that was any good or not. I'm actually going to put this down to remind me to look up about the new Home Alone film. Free Bird, another children's one that I haven't bloody heard of. Were these just not as marketed as heavily as the others, or maybe they were just like on the sides of buses in London? I didn't see them, I don't know. But anyway, there's two birds and they are escaping. They are fucking hell, how big are they? I've just realised the child with them. What? Are they like giant turkeys? Is she incredibly small? There's nothing else to get, because that's too far in the distance to get any sort of sense of size from. The grass looks very big, I suppose. Is the child like Thumbelina or something? Why is that turkey's neck so thin and that one's so thick? I'm going to stop looking at that now. It's freaking me out slightly. Right. Instead, we're going to look at Postman Pat Special Delivery Service. That's the... oh my God, you may remember ages ago I reviewed a Postman Pat Transformer where his van turns into Postman Pat. I think it was that design of van, interestingly. Pat 2. A speedy delivery. They've been producing Postman Pat since about 1473, I think. Been a very popular children's character for many years. I'm assuming this isn't one of the ones from the 80s, purely by the design of the van. A Speedy Delivery. Is it a special film? There was a Postman Pat movie where he had like a robot doppelganger or something. Kind of sad, I remember that. Anyway, here's Beyond Skyline. I remember there being a sci-fi film called Skyline. Apparently, there was a sequel. Oh, is it very low budget? Is it not? I don't know anything about this. Well, other than it's a sequel to another film. 2016, Don't Look Up Singapore. So that's the company that owns the rights. Don't Look Up in Singapore. This feels a bit cash-in sequely. So I'm going to assume quite low budget. I'm going to look into it, though. You never know. And my God, they've certainly seen... well, it's basically, that's a slightly altered version of Megatron from several of the Michael Bay films, isn't it? Or at very least heavily inspired, shall we say. Also, it appears to be very large, if those buildings are anything to go by. Unless that's a model made by a man. I don't know. Here's Tom Cruise looking at horses. Yeah, one of my favourite films, that. Tom Cruise is worried by pyramids. I just don't understand them. So this is The Mummy, isn't it? The, God, that dark universe thing they were trying to start. Is it just me, or does it feel like they were trying to start that dark universe thing, basically a franchise based on the old Universal monsters, forever, and it never quite worked? You had, like, I, Frankenstein felt like testing the waters, wasn't there? There was, God, there's a Van Helsing one before that. Well, that was before Cinematic Universe stuff, to be fair. The Dracula one, what was that? Dracula Untold, or whatever. That was definitely an attempt to start it. And then when it sort of flopped, they kind of just ignored it and went, oh no, now we're really going to start it with The Mummy. It's got Tom Cruise in it, and we're selling it very heavily on Tom Cruise because it doesn't show the mummy on the cover of a film called The Mummy. Yeah, I never saw this. A lot of my friends did. None of them were very happy with the experience. Yeah, I mean, the Brendan Fraser one from the night is kind of great, isn't it? It's good fun. The classic one is kind of great, very different thing. Apparently this tries to take itself a bit too seriously and doesn't quite connect together and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I haven't seen it, and I've got to say I am not rushing to watch it either. Oh my God, what is this? Billy Elliot of some type? Yeah, Billy Elliot, the musical. Oh, live. So it's a live recording of the Billy Elliot musical. Well, fair enough. Billy Elliot being the young boy who wants to be a ballet dancer, but he can't because the heels on his shoes are too big. Too public for everyone. My girlfriend might want to watch that, I don't know. I'll put that to one side and we shall see. Not massive musicals man myself, and I always find recorded versions of live shows a bit of a hard sell. There we go. Now Ali G is into house. Let's make ourselves feel old by seeing how old this is now. 2002. 21 years old. So this was Sacha Baron Cohen's first foray into sort of satirical movies based on his character Ellie G from Alistair Graham, does that stand for, if I remember? From British television. But obviously went on to do Borat and Bruno and The Dictator and be in like other films and that as well. I think he's in Les Mis, isn't he? But there he is with the world's puffiest coat and a couple of submachine guns, probably. Hang on, yeah, I think so from there. And a hat of a certain type. Yeah, so this is one where he goes and like gets into Parliament or something. Becomes an MP, is that it? God, I can't remember. All I remember is I think Michael Gambon's in it as the Prime Minister. Or Dumbledore, or something like that. Right. George Sampson, access to all areas. You see, the problem is, as I'm 46 years old, I don't really know any new music that's been released in the last 20 years. So I'm going to assume George Sampson is a music person, dancer or singer or both. It's got an E, exempt from classification, so it's almost certainly music. Psycho Music. That is Simon Cowell's company, isn't it? Simon Cowell. Psycho. You see? Oh, there we are. Well, if you want access to all areas of George Sampson, that sounds really creepy, and you should probably look at your life and sort out your goals. Right, Star Wars, the Padawan Menace. Oh, man, it's Ian, everybody. So these were like Oh, Lego spewed out a load of these. Apparently they're quite good fun. Just like a load of CG animations based on Star Wars, but with Lego figures. Some of them even spun off into actual Lego sets, I believe. I don't know why I turned this over to look at. Gee, I wonder what I'll see on the other side. Oh, look, it's shiny. Yeah, all officially licensed from Lucasfilm, obviously. Not like Lego's going to be knocking out knockoff films. I can imagine no company that hates knockoffs more than Lego. My God, they get knocked off sort of more than any other toy in the universe, I think, don't they? But what this specific one is about, I couldn't tell you. But there seemed to be a load of battle droids and early prequely AT-ATs going towards an ice thing, but then there's also some desert there. I hope that helped you by pointing out the obvious you can see in front of your face. Right. Oh, God. Oompa loompa doompa dee doo. This film is weird in a bad way. Yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. God, this is some old now, isn't it? 2005. There we are. Tim Burton's weird remake with Johnny Depp, and he's got like Christopher Lee in it as Willy Wonka's dad. But Willy Wonka's dad, oh, he's estranged from him because he's a dentist and he makes sweets. Yeah, don't watch this. Just watch the one from the 70s. It's just like much better on all levels. Except on the level of not being too fucking long. Yeah, I remember sitting in the cinema through that. How to lose a guy in 10 days. Give him directions to somewhere, but only let him use Apple Maps. That'll probably do it. So Matthew McConaughey on the right there. I don't recognise the actress on the left. So, is 1212-6. That's Matthew McConaughey's phone number. Yeah, for romantic comedy, from the period where nearly all romantic comedies, particularly those with Matthew McConaughey in, seem to have an image of a man and a woman leaning on each other back to back. And this, my friends, is no exception. Anyway, Grease is the word, it's the time, it's the moment, it's got groove, it's got feeling. Arguably the greatest of the musicals made in this period by a considerable bloody margin. Grease is kind of great. All the songs are fun. It's not my genre at all, but yeah, you've got to like a bit of Grease. I mean, where else can you see 30-year-olds pretending they're still in high school? The answer is almost any 90s TV show set in high school. Good old Olivia Newton-John there. The worst thing about having to watch the sequence is somebody will always say, "Did you know that her trousers were so tight they had to sew her into them?" No, yes, we did all know that. Please shut up. We're trying to watch Grease. Right. Nanny McPhee. Is this the second one? Nanny McPhee and the Big Bang. It is. Saw the first one, quite liked it. Never got round to the second. Maybe I will now. I've got a copy literally in my hand. My God, I know this was called The Big Bang. There's got an actual bomb in it. Fuck. I wondered if it was some sort of theoretical physics reference, but nope. An actual Big Bang. So, I'm guessing World War II or something? Okay. So the first Nanny McPhee, basically, Nanny McPhee comes along to a family and looks after them all. And she's a bit weird and magic and has a funny face, but as the children start to behave better, she becomes more and more beautiful. Now I'm thinking about it, that's a terrible fucking lesson for the kids, isn't it? Right, Hook. Oh, Spielberg's most hated film of his own, I believe. Hook, he really doesn't like this. It's all right. I've seen a lot worse bloody films than Hook, but yeah, it really didn't click with him for whatever reason. I imagine he probably had a very different vision in his head and it didn't quite come through and blah, 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 blah. Although, frankly, if you're Steven Spielberg and you can't get your vision made, what's going on? You know? Yeah, Dustin Hoffman is Hook. Robin Williams, obviously, is Peter Pan. A grown-up Peter Pan. Yeah. And he goes back to Neverland, and they're like, "Oh, you're an old man now." And he's like, "Yeah, that's true. And I've forgotten how to be Peter Pan, but I'll remember now, and I'll fly, and I've got kids, and everything will be all right in the end." Anyway, I'm Team Rufio, so you can go over there. Ghostbusters 2. I feel like they've released this film so many times. They're like, "What are we going to do for the disc on this one?" Oh, I don't know, just sketch it. That's a pretty good sketch. Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, we haven't. We put it in the centre, but now the fingers are cut off. That's fine. Just put in. Layout and design. Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. Yeah. So, this Ghostbusters 2 was always such a massive disappointment to me as a child. I remember going to see it at the cinema, having loved the first Ghostbusters. It's a couple of good bits in it. People just remember the amazing image of Vigo the Carpathian, which is like one of the most iconic fucking images in cinema of that time. But I don't know, the film just doesn't hold together for me at all. I just did not enjoy it. Which is a shame, because it's 103 minutes and 49 seconds. Yeah, that first Ghostbusters was a bit lightning in a bottle, really, isn't it? Oh well, here's a monkey in a suit. I'm ashamed to say I know that this film is Dunstan Checks In. It's about a chimpanzee that goes to a hotel or something. I don't know. It's for very young children. It's not for very young children because it's PG. It's just for young children. Oh, okay. Now I'm worried I've got the film wrong. Hang on. No, it is Dunstan Checks In. There we are. Exciting fact is that Dunstan the chimpanzee is very rarely seen in the film. It's mostly a bloke in a suit. Now I'm making that up. I haven't got a clue. Haven't seen it, and I can tell you almost nothing about it. It's about an ape that goes to a hotel. What more do you need in your life? Saints and soldiers? Quite possibly. So this is one of the sort of cheaper releases where they didn't do the whole actual printing colours on it, as you can quite clearly see. I don't know what Saints and Soldiers from Into Film. Into Film generally had interesting releases. What year is it from? It doesn't give us a copyright date, so I can't tell you much about this at all. Interesting. Well, hello. Look like the Wizard of Oz or something. Yeah, I'm going to have a look into that because that might be quite interesting, but I can tell you nothing about it, so it's a bit crap for this video, isn't it? Dopey Mick! There, I bet your dad's doing that joke, isn't he? Yep, Moby Dick. From Kaleidoscope. Which version of Moby Dick is this? 2014. So it's not like the Patrick Stewart one or something. There's so many versions of Moby Dick. Was there one in the 70s that Ray Bradbury wrote? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, Moby Dick, if you don't know it, is a film about a white whale, or more specifically, Captain Ahab, who is obsessed with the killing and whaling and destroying the white whale. And, of course, his obsession destroys him, because that's what obsession does. Anyway, it's a really good novel about that kind of thing. And narrated from the gunner's perspective, if I remember. God, I haven't read it since I was about 11, I think. And I don't recall ever actually having seen any of the movie versions. I've seen bits of the one with Patrick Stewart, but there we are. Oh, The Fifth Passenger. Dun, 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 dun. I'm guessing Space Stowaway from this. Another film I haven't. This has been a really good pile for films I'm not actually, that familiar with, as opposed to really obvious mainstream ones like we often get. Not that I'm saying any of these seem particularly arty or niche, but they're not all Batman, Fifth Passenger from 4 Digital Media. Region 2. Can we... And there's... hang on. 2, 4, 5, 1. Can we find a 3 on here? Yes. There we are. Now we can count to 5 by looking at images on this. What fun we have. Yeah. It's set in space. It's going to be mostly set on a spaceship, I imagine, to save money. But they show the astronaut on the front, because, that's better. Interesting. One I'm going to have a look into. But it's, with a title like Fifth Passenger, it's got to be about stowaway. Surely. Wild Child. I have no idea what this is whatsoever. It was 12. Hard 12. Last 1 hour, 34 minutes. What year was it released? 2008. It looks kind of, with the shield there, like some sort of school logo or something. So is it about a wild child in a school? Bloody hell. Yeah, I've got no frame of reference for this whatsoever. I'm going to guess, by the heavy use of pinks and purples, it is aimed at a young female market. Also, they put pink trim around the disc, which is a giveaway, actually. So it's got to be that. Interesting. And here is a load of CG ants, which I presume is Ants. The old film with, God, wasn't it Woody Allen did voice it, and Stallone's in it. These ants don't look like those. Is this the ant bully? Hang on. Oh, God, I can't. Yes. Oh, this is the ant bully. Hoo-hoo! Nearly got that one wrong. Yeah, it's a film for kids. About a kid who... Was it about a kid who bullies ants? Like, burns them with magnifying glasses or something. I don't know if that's specifically what he does, but he's a bloody bully for ants. It's in the title, folks. And he gets shrunk down to the size of an ant, and they're all like, why-ya yoda. But then he learns an important lesson about respecting all life, except ants. And he grows big again and kills them all. No, I don't know what happens. But I'm going to presume it has a happier ending than that. My Best Friend's Wedding Collector's Edition. Oh, man, which one is My Best Friend's Wedding? Is Julia Roberts in this one? She's in Runaway Bride, isn't she? This is one of those films, I know the title of, and I've probably seen the thumbnail of it on like a million different things. I've probably seen the cover a million times, but I can tell you very little about it. Romantic comedy, quite obviously. Maybe they fancy somebody at their best friend's wedding. Maybe they fancy their best friend's husband. Or what will happen? I have no idea, and I have no idea if it's any good or not. So I hope that helped you. Anyway, bloody digital photography's too hard. Not anymore! With Digital Photography Made Easy, issue 45. Perfect your image editing. In-depth video tutorials. Free Photo Impact 10 trial. Oh, so this is a cover-mounted disc. This isn't a DVD. This, yeah, PC only. Look. Essential image managers. Essential. You'll actually die if you don't use these image managers. Photo editing tools and review test shots. 12 from 2004. Back before you could quite easily get large files off the internet, rendering this completely pointless. I can't help feeling this is probably a bit out of date as well. The in-depth video tutorials from nearly 20 years ago. Probably not going to help much. The Wipers Times. The famous film about people cleaning their bums after having a poo. The Wipers Times. Right, I don't know anything about this whatsoever. What can we about Wipers? So Wipers is, in, I believe, in World War One, what the British called EEPS. I think it's pronounced EEP, isn't it? YPRES. The French, I don't know if it's a town or a village or what, or area. Which, yeah, basically had a lot of our troops there, and they used to refer to it as Wipers. So I'm presuming this is about somebody who produces something during World War One on the French front for, I don't know, news purposes, because Times implies like a newspaper or something like that. Don't know. I'm really hoping that is World War One. I've got it confused. It was World War Two. I think it was. I'm sure it was World War One. Yes, that's what we're saying. Right, I'm going to look into that later. Oh, fuck, it's Bicentennial Man. God, had to happen sooner or later. I watched this whole film. I don't know why. It's got Robin Williams murdering Isaac Asimov symbolically, and wearing a funny robot suit that makes him look like a robot Robin Williams. Actually, that is cool. But, yeah. It's sort of dull and weird and misses the point of the story, I think. But other than that, it's a... Oh, I've thrown it away. That's a shame, isn't it? Oh, my God, I'd forgotten this existed. The Sweeney! Da-dee-dee, da-dee-dee. So this is based on 70s TV show with Dennis Waterman and John Thor, The Sweeney, which is an abbreviation for Sweeney Todd, which is rhyming slang for flying squad. Basically, they're police. That's all you need to know. And they go into places very quickly and sort shit out. And so this is Ray Winston, quite clearly on the left. And if I remember, the other guy is a musician. And, yeah, people weren't entirely convinced by his performance in this. But I'm always a little bit on that, because people are often, if they know somebody for one thing, they often don't like seeing them do a second thing, even if they're really good at it. And it takes a little while for that to bed in. But I don't know. That kind of looks like a sort of Star Wars rifle he's got there. I'm sure it's a real gun, but very square and chunky. Reminds me of the E11 blaster from the bit at the front. Yeah, so this is 10 years old now. Fucking hell. But yeah, this sunk like a big old stone, I believe, the Sweeney. I don't think this did very well at all. I remember it existing, and then it disappeared. Now it's in my hand, and now it's in a box. So, you know. Oh, my goodness. Knowing Me, Knowing You. I don't think I have this on DVD. Oh, I'm not sure I still do. It looks scratched to hell. So this is... a comedy character, Alan... I'm sure I do have this actually in a box thing, actually thinking about it. Comedy character Alan Partridge, who is very famously from Norwich in the fiction, despite having an accent not even vaguely like it. Which is sort of part of the gag, I think. He had his own TV show off the back of The Day Today, a fake news show called Knowing Me, Knowing You with Alan Partridge. And this was the Christmas special episode, Knowing Me, Knowing You. And it is pretty magnificent, from what I remember. A lot of really good stuff there. The whole thing is just super quality from start to finish. A lot of ideas, everything really well realised. Just super high quality comedy all round. You can go in the box. There's bloody Dracula Untold. We talked that one up. Poor old Luke, whatever his name is. Luke Cage, let's call him. No way, he's fictional. God, I can't remember the actor's name, actually. Luke something. Or something Luke. Luke Skywalker, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they tried to make sort of an action Dracula film, kind of. Again, nobody seemed particularly enamoured by it. Nobody said it was good. I don't think anybody said it was particularly awful either. It's just sort of meh. Do you know what I mean? Which is a shame when you put a lot of money and effort into stuff and people just watching it meh. You kind of messed up there. Shame. Bloody shame. But yeah, one of the attempts to start the Dark Universe, and instead people just went whack and watched the old Gary Oldman one again. Yes, you do have to put up with Keanu Reeves' accent, but it is fun. Old school! Oh! They put the hole where his bum is so we can get away with it. Was this Will Ferrell? It looks a bit like Will Ferrell from head-wise. Yeah, it's just one of those sort of American comedies of a certain type from a certain era. God, about 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago, shit, with certain people in, do you know what I mean? And you could just have it on, and it's probably perfectly fine. You'll chuckle a bit, and that's kind of what they were, and it's all okay. Oh, this is interesting. Extinction, Jurassic Predators. Oh, high flyers. So what's going on here? Is this like a sort of B movie with a load of CG dinos in, or is it some sort of I thought it was some sort of educational thing, but I've just now noticed A, dirty man running, and B, mouth full of bloody blood. Yes, that is going to be a B movie I haven't heard of. From High Fly, I do like this way it's from High Flyers. Yes, I'll bet this is one of the most high-flying pieces of art ever made. Maybe it is. It seems statistically unlikely. It was that company again, with their big old reference numbers in the front. Interesting. This is the final disc, Brothers. Why have I never heard of this film? It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in. It's got Toby in it, fresh out of Venom. No, let's know a bit later. Toby Maguire. And there's Natalie Portman in the background. And the cover really looks like Prisoners, doesn't it? That kind of thing, which Jake Gyllenhaal is also in. Thinking about it, that's probably why it came to mind. Interesting. This one has completely passed me by. So I'm guessing these two are brothers. She might be the sister or the wife or the girlfriend or the therapist or the plumber or the person who turns up every 5 minutes in the background, goes baddly baddly bap, and completely ruins the dramatic tension of all scenes. That one seems unlikely, but hey, we're not going to count anything out. Well, there you go. That was about 50 discs, probably. I've got a big box full of them now. I've got another bloody 200 or something. There we are. We'll do another one of those in a few months. But that's enough for today. But before we go, we have some local news for local people. Yes, anyone local to East Anglia, i.e. the eastern bit of the United Kingdom, or Norwich or thereabouts. Basically, we've got a couple of things going on. The first is OLL23, One Life Left, which is a sort of big video gaming convention thing at the Norfolk Showground, which is coming up. I'm going to put the details on the screen right now. So we've got them written for the dates and that. I'll be there. It will be a proper laugh. It was last year. It's a very nice event. I should explain this in local dialect, shouldn't I? There's a lot of fucking computers at the showground, hint there. And if you are super local, specifically to Norwich, in fact, we are planning to open a new geeky bar type place. And you can help us out and get exclusive things for doing so if that is your want. By want, do I mean W-O-N-T or W-A-N-T? Well, actually, I kind of mean both, thinking about it. Man, if you don't speak English and you are relying on auto-translate for this video, this must have now become completely impenetrable. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description below and you can have a look. I'll put a link for OLL23 in the description below. So look, there's going to be links in the description below. You know how it works on YouTube, I'm sure. I'm going now. Bye!
Subscribe for more.